film review, and today we are viewing Scream 5. If you know me, I've been working my way through this franchise, and it's crazy. I started with 7, then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then now we're at 5. And since this film was a couple years old, of course there will be spoilers, so if you have not seen the film, my recommendation for seeing the film is that it's definitely better than other films in the franchise. I want to say, namely 2 and 3, but no better than 4 and 1. So with that in mind, do what you will, and I will again talk about more spoilers of the film as this review progressed. Talking about spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, this film is unique, especially because like it takes follows a different narrative than the previous films, and that mainly like the protagonist is always pretty Sydney Prescott, and she's in every fucking film. You're like, okay, what is she gonna get into this time? Is it someone that like stepped on her toe or door from the past, or how they're related to Billy, how they're related to Stu, how they're related to her? Was it again like the sins of her mom? Like her mom been sleeping around. Like that's the plot of most of these films, is like your mom cheated, and I'm either a legitimate child or lover of them. Like it's like what's going on. But this film was different because we're following Tara and Sam. Sam happens to be the kid or child of Billy. I want to call him Billy the Butcher. It's so bad, but it's not. Billy, the killer from the first film, and the killers or the ghost faces in this film, they're trying to recreate the nostalgia of that by targeting his children, which is kind of weird because like if you're admiring somebody, why would you target his family? Like it didn't make sense to me. But I think for the most part, this film was very interesting. The kills were definitely brutal. That's what I think. Like most of it, like the kills, I would like to say, and 4 was up there. And it finally let go some of those legacy characters, because like it'll be constantly like in films, and okay, I will say in this film, like there were times where a person was being stabbed and like, why aren't you dead? Why aren't you dead? Or like there was no sense of stakes. This one did it differently because you're not following Sidney Prescott for the entire fucking time. There's also legacy characters that do die within the context of this film. So, I'm probably butchering his name. Dewey does end up biting the bullet, and then there's an instance where Sidney Prescott gets stabbed. I mean, everyone gets stabbed in this film, but just be able to walk it off. I do hate that the fact that I know it's not said in this film, but just seeing the films that come frequently, it's the brother and sister. They both should be dead. They both should be dead. Especially the guy. He was stabbed repeatedly. Even though I know it's a known fact that a person could survive multiple stab wounds, let's not make this within the context of the film, especially like the word that they're butchered and stabbed. It doesn't make sense. Like, why is he walking away from that? Like come on. Are we doing this for real? Because like I want to say almost the same locations where Sam's boyfriend is stabbed is the same location where that brother is stabbed in the front lawn. But the brother ends up walking that shit off. I mean, it's not shown in this film, but he ends up surviving in the following film and the sequel that follows that. But the killer dies, like that's kind of weird. And then also, I think like the entry was very strong, the kills were brutal, but it kind of fell apart in the end. It really failed to stick the landing. In this part, it makes me really appreciate what Ford did. Not only having a killer with their motivation, but then also able to stick the landing and do something that was very convincing. Like to become Sydney was something that I thought was revolutionary for the franchise. It kind of did do some things of like, okay, like this is something that we've seen before, but not necessarily in this franchise. And by this killer, it seemed like it was nostalgia, but it didn't really make sense. And then like Sam's having visions of Billy, and then there happens to be this knife that's always been there, I guess probably since the first film, which is kind of weird. Like, no one does a crime scene investigation, no one cleans the shit up, right? That's kind of fucking weird. Or it could have been when they were on the stairs that this knife fell down, and then she got the Boeing knife. It's not really explicitly said, but it doesn't not necessarily need it. And then they don't commit, and I get it. You're evil. You got to explain your whole plan. Like, this is the fucking cartoony shit that they do every film, and is I don't get why they're so. I guess this is a franchise. Like, you don't have to stick to that mode. You just have to stick so rigid. It's so predictable. Like, there's going to be multiple killers, and in the end, we're going to have their dialogue. Instead of killing anyone, they're just going to talk it out, right? And prolong the inevitable. And then they were talking about staging the bodies. So, like, they wanted to kill them, but they wanted to kill them in certain spots. So that's why they were kept alive for a duration. But I think, like, one entry needs to begin with, like, Sydney being ice in the first, and, like, really the beginning. And you're doing, like, the aftermath of that, and the character's trying to figure out what's going on. Because I'm kind of annoyed. I'm kind of annoyed at this point. Not only are the characters not dying, but then also, like, there's no sense of stakes. And then also, another thing that pissed me off, when characters do die, no one cares. And I get this was since the first film, and I should probably reaccept it. But as I go to other films and come back to this one, especially Night Patrol, that film really pissed me off because this woman, she literally, her son died, she's crying, she be hooing, and then she gets up, turns around, and then stone face. It's like, what the fuck? There's no time for emotional weight or anything. So, like, I don't even care about any of the characters that die in this film at all. I know very little about them. Maybe I'm not supposed to care. They could have iced up the Dewey situation. Like, they could have been like, oh, he's getting married to Gail or something, you know. Gail feels a little bit more indifferent about his death. We don't even get to see her cry in the context of this film, if I'm not mistaken. Like, the shit is just so tone deaf. And I think the Scream films are afraid to let characters feel, especially because, like, the films are so meta that you have the parallel of, like, you're watching Scream, but then also Stab is taken in the background, and we're doing a commentary on horror so much that we can't allow our characters to feel, to cry, to be a protagonist and still have emotion, still have a niche in that. Like, they become a Mary Sue in a way after a while. It's like, they face challenges, they get stabbed, but, like, no, we're going to overcome those challenges, and we're not going to show any fear, we're not going to show any discomfort, especially when we know we got to kill the villain. Like, the tone shift is something that's kind of, like, lacking from these films, and that's why it prevents any of them from ever being a 10 out of 10. But after seeing this film, my current ranking, and I know in previous films, like, film reviews, my ranking has changed, but I will do Scream 1, Scream 1, Scream 4, Scream 2, 3, and 5 at 5, right? So if you've seen these films, if you've recently seen Scream 5, comment down below. What are your thoughts? If you haven't seen it and you still watch the spoiler side review, is it a film that you will see? I'd like to know your thoughts. You've made it this far, you might as well like the video and subscribe. And as always, those on me. Ciao.